Yo guys, Matt from Upsled Mining. Just wanted to come back at you with just a small, short little video. I don't expect this video to go very long, but I just kind of wanted to kind of share what my thoughts are regarding the recent market crash, if you want to call it that. So there's Ethereum, and then there's Bitcoin. Bring it up on CoinMarketCap. Both in the past week have taken essentially nosedives, and the drop in Bitcoin is directly followed by the drop in Ethereum. Um, which we'll see. Let's see here. Let's check out some other values of stocks as well. So let's just pick Disney, for example, as a stock. I'm not a stockbroker. I don't know much about stocks, actually. But what I do know is that the market's down everywhere. Ethereum. Okay, let's start at Bitcoin. Bitcoin's the master of it all. Bitcoin is down in the past week. Ethereum is down in the past week. The charts almost line up exactly. Like, it's kind of ridiculous, actually. So that's... How's that so close, man? Look at that. Like, if I line them up, like, exactly the same, and just switch between them, they're, like, almost identical. Like, the pattern of them. Like, you see, so Bitcoin went up here, and then it dropped here again. So it went up here on the 11th to the 12th. And then Ethereum also went up 11th to 12th. So, like, look at it, dipped here on the 13th again, dipped here. Like, these, essentially what I'm saying is, like, these are driven largely by, obviously, buying and selling of the asset, right? If you look at the Disney stock as well, we also have a dip here on the 13th. But they're not going to be directly correlated, but we do see a drop pretty much across the board, right? And this is the same for a lot of other stocks as well. Like, we look up, I don't know, Amazon. Hold on. Maybe I can find... Let's do a little bit of, like, on-screen chit-chatting here. 5-day drop again, right? So we see correlations in the market, right? So the stock market and crypto. And why is this? It's because people as a whole have lost confidence in these savings vessels or these investments due to insecurity with their own financial situations, due to a lot of things like, obviously, the Federal Reserve increasing the interest rates, being in essentially entering into a recession and things like that, right? So it's pretty much across the board, everything's down. So it's not just crypto that's crashing. So, and it's also not just stocks that's crashing. It's everything, right? Everything's kind of dropping down, and we're kind of going to enter probably a recession, and we don't know how long that's going to be. Now, I just kind of want to talk kind of quick about, like, essentially people that are all going around being doom and gloom about this stuff. I mean, I've recently had a comment recently where I saw someone saying that basically they said that all the miners that hodled their coins or just held on to their coins essentially in 2022 are screwed. I mean, essentially, how are you screwed if you held onto your coins in 2022? No one went into your wallets and stole your coins away. The values of your coins dropped down just like everything else in the market. If you sold right now, maybe you're screwed, but you're screwing yourself if you do that. Now, I know that kind of sounds a little bit like maybe harsh, but if you sold it now at an all-time, like one of the all-time lows, that's on you, right? And if you mined it at some other point when it was higher, and you saw at that point in time, you thought your profits were higher. That's also on you, right? So, like, you perceived it and you had an emotional response to the value at maybe 1800 or even, like, not 1800, but let's look at, like, at the beginning of the year even, or back in October, if you were mining it was 4,000, like, God forbid, and then now we're at let's see, say you were mining it when it was at like 3,700, right, beginning of the year, kind of when I was doing it. Now it's down to, like, when I started, kind of, and now it's down to, like, $1,400. I mean, and you were mining it then, and you held on to it because you thought it was good. There's nothing wrong with that, because Guys, you have to start thinking long term. Like, you have to start thinking long term. Like, look at this. Look at this, okay? Now, the only way to say if you're screwed or not is to if you wait to the point with A, either you die because you live so long that you're not able to get your returns back, or B, essentially the stocks crash permanently. Like talking like Ethereum goes down to like here and it just levels out and it's gone forever. Sort of like Luno did, right? I mean, it's kind of like gone forever and it never comes back. But generally speaking, the doom and gloom of this saying that it's done forever it's an emotional response. Like it's an emotional response. Whether or not your electricity bill can be paid, if you can pay your electricity bill out of pocket or not, is an entirely different story or not. If you can pay it out of pocket, great. But if you're mining and the electricity is costing more than the value of a coin you're getting back, like I always said, take the money that you would have put anyways in electric, let's say it's $500, and invest it. But if you are using the money from your mining to pay for the electricity anyways, I understand you need to shut your rigs down because you can't afford the electricity. For my case, and everyone's case is different, and in a lot of other people's cases, we're paying this out of pocket. Like we're paying the electric out of pocket, even at small gains. If you're making small gains, it's still a savings vessel. You're still making investments for you or your company or however you're doing it. That's going to go into the long term. So stop thinking so short term. Everyone thinks so short term. Like we're in a disposable society here. Like for crying out loud. Like I'm almost 40 years old, right? And so I've been through the recession of 2008. I've seen Y2K. I've seen, I would live through that stuff, the dot-com bubble that busted in 1999, went down, right, and everyone lost their shit, right? But I mean, I'm just saying, like, stop being so short term. Think 5 years, 10 years, 15, 20 years. Stop thinking so short term. Like the problem I see with so many people these days, if they want to go into something like this and they want their returns back within a year or 2 years or 3 years. I mean, like, think long term. So that, if you're saying that you're screwed because you hodl all your coins and now it's worth $1,200, you're only screwed yourself if you sold it right now. You're not screwed if you wait to 2025 and it maybe hits up here again or even higher. And the funny thing about that is that those coins, no one's taking the coins from you guys. No one's stealing coins out of your wallet, and you're being screwed here. If you have zero point 0.5 ETH in January, you have zero point 0.5 ETH now. It doesn't matter if that 0.5 ETH is worth $600, or if that zero point 0.5 ETH is worth $1,200 or whatever it's worth. What matters is when you sell it is when it's worth. So if you want to sell it now, of course you just screwed yourself, but you can't blame the markets for that happening. You should know that going in. And if you had this flawed perception that at that point in time when you were mining and it was all-time high, you were making that much, then that's fine. If you're mining and then selling every month, then that makes kind of sense, right? But as I always said, you shouldn't be mining and using the money from the mined, what you're getting back from the mining, paying your electric with that. I think that's a huge mistake because you get into these situations where you have the mentality and attitude that, yeah, you are getting screwed because now you can't mine anymore. But if you get into the point where like maybe you can only afford one rig or two rigs and you can pay for the electric based off of your income, whatever you're making, then fine. If you grow to a point where you have multiple farms and you have 10 gigahash, 20 gigahash, and pretty much you need to use the money from the farm to pay for the electric, I understand that as well. But if you're in the mid-range between like maybe anywhere between 0 megahash to maybe upwards of maybe like 3 or 4 gigahash, where it's going to cost maybe upwards of $1,000 a month for electric, you should have gone into it knowing that you can pay the electric out of pocket. And when the value of everything drops so bad and so low, you take your money and you invest that anyways into Ethereum or Bitcoin or another stocks or something, or you just don't do anything with it. You just keep it, right? So it's my kind of perspective on it is don't spend the money you don't have. And I'm just seeing this epidemic where tons of people are going to mining, spending money they don't have. And if you can't have the money for the electric, my perspective is you shouldn't be mining because like that money you never had in the first place. You're relying on. It's like going into a business, starting up a restaurant, and you don't have enough money to float that restaurant for 6 months, and you need the customers to come in right on day one to pay for the rent, right? You shouldn't open up a restaurant if you don't have, I'd say, 6 months to a year reserve from your own investments or investors to pay for that operation. without the money from the revenue from the business itself, because most businesses will operate at a loss for multiple years, including restaurants or any other type of business. So would you go into something like mining and not have the money to maintain the operation out of pocket until it becomes really big, or grows to a point where obviously it supersedes your ability to pay for that? It's just sorry guys, it's just a little bit of a rant and a pet peeve. Like, I understand if you want to shut your rigs off when the electric gets so low, when profits seem low, but it doesn't make any sense unless you are actually in the negative. I'm gonna leave my rigs on as long as I'm positive, as long as I'm making something. I don't care if it's $10 a day. Maybe it's $10 a day. Maybe I'll turn it off, because then maybe it'll save on the life of the cards. From a maintenance perspective, like it'll and I don't have to deal with the heat. But you as an individual monitor need to decide what is your level of expectations for that. Like, is what's worth the inconvenience of dealing with the heat, and what's worth the degradation of your cards? It's $100? Is it $200? Is it $500? What is that threshold? For me, it's probably around maybe per day, like per month. I'd say if I'm making say $500 a month. If I make anything less than maybe 250 per month, then let's say 250 per month, then it's not worth my time and the heat and the degradation on the cards and all those sort of things, right? But then I'll shut them down, and I'll take the money and invest it, start a separate business, a side hustle, something. Use that money anyways that you would to move forward, right? That's like my mantra, right? Always move forward somehow, in that, and think long term. Like, stop thinking so short term. Like, no one's screwed, man. Like, if you have one ETH in the beginning of this year and it was worth X number of dollars, and you still have one ETH because you left it in your wallet and you hodled, you're not screwed. You're only screwed if you go and sell it now, and you only have yourself to blame for that. Like, I know that's my perspective, and a lot of people might disagree with me on that, but like, that's kind of how I'm saying. No one's screwed. People just need to be patient, and patience is a virtue. And it's clear people don't have patience anymore. They just want instant gratification. They want instant gratification with they click a button on their phone and someone magically shows up with a burger at your door. They want to magically go on their phone and get access to a million songs with your Spotify or something. It's like convenience society. We're in this convenience society. Like, what did Warren Buffett always say? I don't know a lot about him, and I'm not going to directly quote him, but correct me if I'm wrong, but I believe that he even said you got to think long term. This guy invested over the course of 40, 50, 60 years. That's how he made his fortune, right? He didn't make his fortune investing in the beginning of 2022, and he said he was screwed in June and gave up. No. Okay. I'm going to leave it at that, guys. Just my comments on the subject and the topic of that. Please leave your comments below if you don't agree, if you disagree. Like, comment, and subscribe, and I will see you in the next one. And yeah, sorry, guys. Just one more comment, or one more point that I was thinking about here. Okay, so no one has a crystal ball. Okay, so before I finish this video, I'm just going to say no one has a crystal ball. I'm not a financial advisor. I'm just a nobody on the internet, right? I'm kind of explaining what like my mentality is around this. A lot of people are against HODL, right? Because they want to sell at the highest and get the most money back, and they claim that, well, you can sell at the highest, and then when it drops, you can buy when it's low again, and then you'd have 4 to 5 times the amount of coin. But the problem with that is that no one has a crystal ball, right? No one has a crystal ball, right? You could sell, like, let's say you had a bunch of coin and you sold like around here, right? Like, how do you know? How would you have known that it would have gone up to this, right? You could have sold it here and thought you're doing good, because look how high that is compared to how it was down here. $642. Let's say you had it around here, you mined it there. That's six-fold increase. That's huge. How would you have known that it could have gone up to here? And how do you know? How many people panicked at here and said the same stuff that they're saying now, right? The thing is, no one has a crystal ball. You can say what ifs all day long, right? And that's why I don't agree with internet arguments over HODL versus sell versus people doomsaying, or because no one knows the future. So if someone's sitting there saying, "Oh, you better get rid of all your GPUs, you better sell them now," why is that a good move? How do they know that's a good move? Like, because if you honestly can tell the future, then everyone would be rich from essentially rigging the stock market, right? No one knows what's going to go up, it's going to go down. No one knows the future. I just want to leave it at that point. And you don't know the future. I don't know the future. And people are just yapping under their butt all day long about it. You just don't know. You just do the best you can. You hold the coins, and long term, if you look at the trends, long term, you wait essentially till it goes up to a point that it was higher than its previous high. And then as soon as it reaches, like, let's say you were here, right? here, right? And it dropped, and you say you still had it like down here, right? My strategy would be just kind of to wait until it went up there. So if it went up to here again and it dropped again, I would just keep waiting. I don't care if it takes 3, 4, 5 years, and you wait, and then until even if it's just here, just a little bit above, then you could sell, right? Then you can walk away with your profits and say, hey, I did good, right? But no one knows the future. I don't know the future either. I don't know if GPU mining is going to just go to hell, right? And if the government's going to legislate against it and you can't mine anymore. I don't know if Flux is going to go to the moon or crash or Ethereum is going to blow up. No one knows. You just do the best you can, right? No one knows, right? Because if you know the future, if I knew the future, my ex-wife and I wouldn't have broken up and she wouldn't have turned out to be a horrible person. But that's another situation altogether. Well, you don't know the future. You don't know the future. It's just you have to start knowing that. The older you get, you start realizing you don't know the future, and you just do the best you can at the time. And people can argue this and that. Well, you should sell, you should sell. But then they could be wrong because they can go up to here and well, you were wrong, right? Because no one knows the future. So I'm just gonna leave it at that. Yeah, feel free to like, comment, and subscribe, and I will see you guys in the next one. Make sure you stay positive out there, okay, guys? I'm always said to be like kind of a jaded, negative kind of person, but I'm just gonna say I'm not gonna give you hopium, but I'm just gonna say just hold on. If you like mining, you like doing it. I like doing it. I love the technology side of it. I like having these rigs. I like working with them. It's pretty cool. I enjoy it as a hobby, not just as a business as well. But I'd say just hold on and stay positive, and in the end, no matter what you do, no matter what happens, you'll be happy with what you decided. And that's all I gotta say, guys. I'll talk to you in the next one. Bye.